Welcome to the first ever episode of David's Notebook. Episode 1. I can't quite believe that I'm doing this. I have had some wonderful encouragement from dear friends to say, you should do this, David. You should talk about your photography experiences and your life and your travels. So to those of you, Emma, Ida, Henry, Flo, Tash, Kate, Ellis, and a bunch of other View legends, you guys have really encouraged me to do this in a loving way, and I'm going for it. And if only the 4 of you, 5, 7 listen, fine. That's great. And if you enjoy it, all the better. But I have a little notebook that I take with me most places. Currently it's this one. It's a little Finisterre one, which has got whales on it, and it's pretty cool. And I just jot down whether it is something that's been inspiring for me, or a little journal entry, or if it is a cool song I've heard, or if it's things I feel like I could do a photo shoot about. It all comes through this notebook, and I'd like to give you a little delve into this. Yes, this might seem a little bit Diary of a CEO, but I'm hoping to do things a bit differently. I want to bring you experiences from my photo shoots, from my travels, and share my insights on things, and I want to keep these episodes fairly short. So I hope you enjoy this first one, and I'd love to hear what you think. I plan to do a few recurring themes through this podcast. I'd like to do the things that have inspired me monthly, and a little record player section at the end to keep an ear out for. But until then, I'm going to dig into a little story about where I am right now. So I'm filming this first episode of the podcast from Wadebridge in Cornwall, which is blowing my mind to even say out loud. I moved here from Surrey about 3 weeks ago, and I'm over the moon about it. It has been fantastic to start to do life in a new place. I'm over the moon about it. I'm starting to feel settled. I live in a wonderful flat with a great housemate named Ryan. He and I getting on famously. We've already been serving together a couple of times, and I have a lovely view of the town from my lounge window here. And honestly, it's great. For this story of Cornwall to make sense, I need to kind of take you back about a year or so. I have been living in Surrey in my wonderful flat for about 5 years, and experienced a pandemic through that. I'd been shooting photos the whole time as my main job, but I felt like I was missing something. I didn't really know what that was at the time, but I felt like I needed a change. So through the loving advice of a few very dear friends of mine, I kind of changed a few things in my career. I changed how I shoot and what I shoot in a way. I also was a bit more, how can I put this? I was more considered about what I shot, and I wanted to go back to doing things that made me happy. I'd been shooting and working within the advertising space for quite a long time, and I felt a bit burnt out. And frankly, I'd lost the love for photography. My passion, my career, the reason I get out of bed in the morning had dwindled a bit. And that's not a nice experience when your salary depends on it, your mortgage depends on it. And I knew things had to change, and I was speaking to some friends over winter, and then especially over New Year's. And I expressed this desire to go out and see the world a bit. And I looked at my little camper van, my little red T4 Volkswagen that I have, and I thought, with a couple of small mods, I can probably get around Europe. I've probably got just about enough cash to do it for 5-6 weeks. So over the winter, I spent a couple of months renovating my van. That in itself was a great project. It was fun. It wasn't photography related at all. It was carpentry, it was electronics, it was a little bit of plumbing, it was problem solving. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. I've always liked manual work and working with my hands, so having a project to pour myself into was actually very cathartic and therapeutic, and it gave me a nice new purpose that wasn't career-based. So roll on to about February of this year, 2023, I kind of felt ready, I was like, I'm close to my van being ready, and I think within a month I could be out of here. So it was then that I decided to have a conversation with my photography agent that I had been with for about 6 years at that point. They had taken me as like a young, bright-eyed photographer and let me experience some incredible things. I got to shoot billboards thanks to them. I got to travel to interesting parts of the world and meet some fascinating people, work with great teams, and I've learned so much through them. But I knew that to really fall back in love with photography and my craft and where I thought so much my passion was, I knew in my heart the difficult decision I had to make and to go it solo for a while. I didn't want to force myself to shoot things that felt frictious for me, that ultimately, in a worldly view, you'd look at the career side of things and go, David, that's crazy. Like, why would you say goodbye to an agent who's trying to get you this amazing work? But I've said from day one that even though photography can earn you money, it's not the reason I do it. I do it because I genuinely love telling stories. I love the people that I'm photographing and the access it gives me and the life it can afford me. I love being able to work 3 days a week sometimes, or 1 day a week, or being able to go, right, I'm going on a road trip for 2 months. But I felt like I needed a bit of a reset. So I kind of graciously parted ways with my agent, very amicable. They understood my position and wished me well. So off I went on my road trip. So at the start of March, I hit the road. My plan was very simple. I wanted to travel around Western Europe, keeping the sea on my right-hand side and surf a bunch, maybe take some pictures, maybe not, and just see where I ended up. And to say that trip changed my life is an understatement, actually. It will go down as part of my life's history as a pin on the map where things changed for me in a really beautiful way. I had gone from feeling groggy and lethargic about my career and what I thought was my passion, but it dwindled, that love for photography had gone. Not completely, but it was like an ember as opposed to a roaring fire. But thankfully, those couple of months on the road around Europe, piece by piece, bits of kindling, small logs, huge tree trunks went onto that fire, add on a bunch of propane, and all of a sudden it was there. I was taking pictures purely because I wanted to, because I saw something that was beautiful, and I started to feel like me again. It's a really wonderful experience, and I feel very fortunate that I was able to do it. And to anyone who's been out on the road and done these kind of things, they are transformative. The experiences you have, the sights that you breathe them in, you live them, and the people I met along the way, it was just fascinating. So yeah, I went through France, Spain, Portugal, back up through Spain, back up through central France, Belgium, Holland, and then back to the UK to Cornwall for a few days before returning home. So 60 days, 6,000 miles, couple of small breakdowns in the van, but I try not to think about them too much. And yeah, an experience I will never forget. And it showed me that I can go out there and do exciting and new things and embrace new challenges and thrive in it. And it was whilst sat on a beach in northern Spain, watching the sun go down, having had, quite honestly, like a pretty crap surf. But I was just sat there reading my book on the beach, and in a kind of quiet, contemplative moment, I was wondering what my life looks like and where I'm going next. And I just felt it on my heart that Cornwall was the place to be. I actually really loved taking pictures whilst I was there. Some days I wouldn't take any. I think I went about 4 or 5 days at one point without taking a single photograph or video clip. And I didn't mind because there was no pressure. And then some days I would take 2,000 frames and I'd be editing as soon as I got back to the van and opening my laptop and hoping I had enough battery power to keep the laptop charged and click away and edit some pictures. And it was exciting. It was fun again. It was that childlike, oh yeah, let's do this. So I shot a bunch of pictures. I did do some video stuff as well, but I don't know if I'll ever share that. It was more like blog diary stuff, I guess. Maybe. We'll see. Maybe another episode one day I'll pop some bits in. But when I eventually finished this trip, I'd surfed a bunch of waves, I'd met some amazing people, I'd seen some incredible landscapes, and I had quite a big stack of pictures and a few rolls of film. I decided I should put a book together. And it's a book that has encapsulated the trip for me. I've included images from all the countries I visited, some of the highlights, some of the not so highlights. I wanted the book to be inspiring, I guess. I wanted people to see this book, like a whole bunch of images, some words that go along with it, and go, hey, I could do that too. And you can. And if you are in a position where you're able to, I would thoroughly encourage you. Thoroughly encourage, does that make sense? Greatly encourage. I think you get the gist. I can't express how much of an impact it made on me. Yes, it happened at a brilliant time in my life where I needed it, but also I think even if you're not searching for something, it's still a wonderful experience. So I've put this book together called David's Notebook Europe. And for those of you who are watching this right now, not listening, here it is. It is a square book, about 50 odd pages, with photographs from my trip. And yes, there it is. I've got experiences in here and friends that I've met, people that I still get to see now that I'm down in Cornwall, like Billy here. And yeah, I am already been blown away by the amount of people who have bought a copy. I hadn't originally thought about selling it. I thought about giving it away. And then again, a couple of kind friends who encouraged me to do the trip in the first place encouraged me once again that I probably could make this a purchasable product. So I have. And I am humbled by how many wonderful friends from around the world have bought this book. I think I've sent to North America, obviously the UK, Europe, Africa, and Australia. And it is just nuts. So thank you so much to all of you incredible people who have decided to buy one of these. It just blows my mind. I'm very, very honoured, humbled, grateful. Yes, all of the good words. Thanks. In a future episode, I may talk a little bit more about the Europe trip. I might go into specific shoots I did. There was a small commission I did throughout the trip that would be quite a fun one to talk about, maybe from a more industry point of view, if something specifically for the photographers to check in. But I'd like for those photography insights to be interesting for people that aren't photographers too. I would like for these stories and insights of mine to be kind of like globally interesting, if that makes sense. We'll try it on a future episode. And if it sucks, you can just tell me. I don't really mind. I'd rather know that it's rubbish instead of you just never wanting to listen to this or watch this again. So yeah, thanks in advance, I guess. But for now, that will be all for that story. And I'd like to go on to what I hope to be one of my new monthly segments. And this will be my monthly inspiration. This month, I have gone back and I've reread, again for the upteenth time, The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. A fantastic book that really speaks to the heart of the creative. Any of you that are photographers, graphic designers, authors, etc., you've all experienced what this book talks about. And the book, Stephen encapsulates it as the word resistance with a capital R. And resistance can come in many forms, whether it is watching loads of Netflix or going out for dinner instead of staying home and doing the research, or not showing up to do the boring work, or taking on jobs that frankly don't push you or aren't even remotely related to your field, can all be forms of resistance. And it's how, and this book is wonderful. It has quotes in it, it's encouraging, but it kind of guides you through how to combat resistance and different experiences of what that can look like. And I read it when I need a bit of a kick up the arse, when I need to figure out what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. And yeah, it's just wonderful. For anyone creative, remotely creative, I would encourage you to read it, frankly. And especially if you are a professional in your chosen creative calling, if you are a professional graphic designer where it is your job and you feel like you have to turn on this creativity button, this book is like a really lovely guiding force for that kind of stuff. If you want to get like a great encapsulation of the art of the author himself, Stephen Pressfield, one of my favourite photographers and podcast hosts, Chase Jarvis, recently interviewed him, or recently reposted an interview that he did with him. And they talk about The War of Art and other books of his, and it will give you a flavour of what to expect if this kind of podcasting is a good way for you to digest stuff. Maybe start there. I'll put a link below as to you can find it. But yes, The War of Art, Stephen Pressfield, would encourage you to read it for sure. The final feature of these podcasts I'm hoping to do is going to be the record player. So I have been obsessed with music ever since I was really young. It was the first thing I ever truly loved, I think. I still remember hearing certain albums for the first time, like the Slipknot Self-Titled or Enter of the State by Blink-182, etc. And those moments have really I can kind of pinpoint them in my life. Even to this day, I can kind of feel emotional about remembering certain times I heard songs, or I just love music. And I would love for this section, the record player, to highlight music that I really love and stuff that I'm listening to at the moment. From a very practical point of view, when you're creating a podcast like this, there are rights involved with playing music on a podcast. So I wouldn't be able to afford the Red Hot Chili Peppers a song to play out on this, which is a shame, because I really like their By the Way album, and some of the songs on there are really seminal for me, but they will never appear because I don't have all the money to spend on it. So what I like to do instead is use this chance to celebrate up-and-coming artists. I guess a bit like a BBC Introducing meets Desert Island Discs. There are friends of mine, acquaintances and people I'm yet to even discover who are going about their music in a really passionate way. I love hearing the stories behind a musician, why they've written a song, what it means, and seeing them in their craft. And I've been in the room when bands are recording music, and it is this fascinating thing, ideas bouncing across the room. There are people, oh, what about this? Oh, why don't we double the length of the bridge, and then we can change the second half and add another layer. All these things I find fascinating, and I would love to give space to that music in this podcast. So, this first episode 1, is my very good friends, Fika. Sam and Al are two of the most hilarious, wonderful, encouraging, genuine people I know. They are people that I have grown to know really well over the last few years. We've worked together a lot. I've photographed them for single covers, for social media. We've done videos together, interviews, a whole range of things. And it's a laugh a minute. But we also talk about the deep and meaningful stuff too. It's very much I don't think they would mind me saying it's kind of like a brotherly relationship. There is a connection there that is really fantastic. And I feel so blessed to have been part of their journey, like seeing the music they've created. And like some of their tracks are so sick. I love them. So you've actually heard a snippet of this song already in the intro, but I would love to play out this first episode of David's Notebook with a track by Fika called All Night. And it is featuring the talented Jackson Mathod on trumpet. Oh, this tune just rocks. I flippin' love it. The intro is amazing, hence why it's going to be the intro for this podcast from now on. But the rest of the track is amazing. And I would, stick around, hear it out. And I guess I'll see you and speak to you on the next episode. Bye.
There's no way I'm